You open this door with the key of imagination. Beyond it, another dimension. A dimension of sound. A dimension of sight. A dimension of mind. You're moving into a land of both shadow and substance, of things and ideas, of timelessness, of infinity. You have now crossed over into the Twilight Zone. What's up, Universe, and welcome back to the web's first must-see comic and nerd culture show. Welcome to Comic Universe, guys. I'm one of your hosts, as always, C-Dubs, and I'm riding solo on this video. I'm getting my Kingpin on here today, as you guys can see, with the suit and tie. Giving a huge shout out to Rod Serling, who is famous and known best for his suit and ties, if you will. Rod Serling is the creator of the original Twilight Zone. If you've been living under a rock, you should know that already. The Twilight Zone has been rebooted and brought to us, by CBS All Access, which is their streaming service. I think it's like $6.99 a month. And I guess this is going to be my review of the show, the first episode at the very least, which is all that I have seen. I know the first two episodes were available for free. I have only checked out the first episode, and I just wanted to kind of give my thoughts on that, the franchise as a whole, and letting you know if I think that maybe, CBS All Access is worth it, at least for Twilight Zone. So, guys, there are going to be some spoilers here. I'm going to try to keep it down to a bare minimum. Don't want to kind of ruin everything about the episode, but it is a really good episode. I really did enjoy the show. It is not written and directed, every episode, I should say, is not written and directed by Jordan Peele. It is just brought to us by him. I'm sure he may have had some influences on some of these episodes. I do not know that for sure, so if I'm wrong on that, please don't come at me with your pitchforks. I'm just assuming here. I do know that he is narrating every episode, like Rod Serling did. So, this particular episode, The Comedian, it is written by Alex Rubens. It is directed by Owen Harris, and it is starring, and I may butcher this, and I do apologize ahead of time, Kumail Nanjiani. I think that's how you say it, but he plays Samir, a struggling comedian in this episode. Now, the overall arcing plot is this struggling comedian basically finds his way into the Twilight Zone by stepping up on stage and realizing the things that he talks about cease to exist. Not murder, not anything like that. They just seem to have never existed. And it all gets brought to us by Tracy Morgan, who is, in his universe, if you will, a comedian seemingly to have had it all, okay? And then, all of a sudden, at the height of his popularity, poof, okay, seemed to have disappeared. Now, in the show, we start off with Samir basically going at his stand-up gig from a political standpoint. And that's a really hard way to go in. First and foremost, most people don't care, and most people don't want to talk about politics. And I don't want to say don't care, but don't care about your opinion on politics. That's really what I meant to say. But he's trying to go through, he's trying to, uphold his integrity. He's basically trying to give his views and his point of views out on, everything from gun policies to the president himself. And it doesn't work for everybody, and in this case, it is not working on him. And he's basically, for all intents and purposes, either booed or worse, not even paid attention to on stage, and just leaves the audience quiet, and he steps off stage. He goes in the back, gets met by Tracy Morgan, and Tracy Morgan he asks Tracy Morgan for some advice, and the advice he gives him is people want to know you. People want to know about your life and the people you know and the things that you do. And he's like, no, everybody does that. He's trying to uphold his integrity, and he's like, that's not what people want. Give them the dirt, give them you. People want to know about your life and life in general. So he goes on stage and he starts talking about his dog, and he gets home and he comes to realize, quickly actually, that the dog is not there. And he starts to worry and feel like the dog is lost. And, when he tries to wake up his girlfriend's like, the dog is not here. We don't have a dog. I don't know what you're talking about. And he starts looking for pictures in his phone. He can't find them. So he starts posting up these lost photos. And we are introduced to his nephew. And his nephew's helping him put up these lost photos. And he's like, is this for your gig? Because I don't get it. You don't have a dog. He's like, no, we did have a dog. He's like, no, I would remember. I've been, staying with you for the past couple of days or weeks. And, he just kind of lets it go, doesn't realize what's going on. He thinks maybe he's being pranked. And he gets on stage, tries again with the politics, and it crashes and fails. So he starts talking about his nephew. And right before his very eyes, pretty much, his nephew disappears. And he freaks out. So he goes look for him, goes home, tries to see if he went home, talks to his wife, or I should say his girlfriend, who his nephew actually is her nephew, and he's actually dating her. And she's like, I don't know what you're talking about. My sister can't have kids. She doesn't have kids. And he realizes that his nephew had disappeared from the photos. So he comes to realize that he has this gift and this power. And of course, he starts off with all good intentions, trying to eliminate the world of bad, negative, murderers, rapists, people, if you will. And eventually, he gets caught up in it, and he starts talking about people in his own life and things like that. And as you can imagine, things start to go south pretty quickly. And I don't want to give away the grand finale, but it is something you're going to see coming from a mile away. But what's really good about the episode, it makes you put yourself into question, and would you do the same thing? Because technically it's not murder if they've never existed, right? And what's interesting, though, is indirectly, by them not existing, it actually changes, not just poof, they've disappeared, but all the things they've ever done, all the people they've ever, influenced, affected, disappear as well. There was another comedian in the show who unfortunately had a drunken driving accident and murdered a mom and her newborn, basically. And when he brought him up in his stand-up gig, the bus bench that he actually ran through, which was twisted and mangled, actually found itself repaired, and those people had never died. So he found himself somewhat in a hero's role, being able to bring some people back to life, and the people that like the murderers and the killers and the rapists. I guess murderers and rapists are the same thing, Greg. Or I should say murderers and killers. I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore. I guess murderers and killers are the same thing, Craig. Anyway. So... he finds himself in this somewhat of a rogue hero role, if you will. And he starts to make other people disappear that affected his life as well, and the lives of people around him. And you start seeing the madness that he is creating for himself. And it makes you question, would you do the same thing? And how would you handle if you had somehow messed up your life, like a loved one, by getting rid of an influence of a loved one? Okay, if that person would still love you or be with you or still be a friend of you or whatever the case may be, how would you deal with that? And that's what I loved most about this episode. And I gotta say, top notch, and a huge shout out to some of the Easter eggs that I caught on. I didn't comb through it with a fine-tooth pen, but first and foremost, obviously you have Jordan Peele, who came out in his suit and tie, if you will, giving a huge shout out to Rod Sterling. We had Tracy Morgan, who was vaping in the episode, which, if you don't know, Rod Sterling was always seen with a cigarette. Unfortunately, he had a terrible habit. He smoked about 4 packs a day, and it did unfortunately add to the shortening of his life. But there was that I believed would have been a huge shout out in this day and age, a modern way of smoking. Okay, to Rod Sterling. And at the very end, there is a photograph inside the comedian bar, if you will, that they're at, that this whole show takes place in, if you will, this whole episode takes place in, of all the comedians on the plaque, if you will. And basically, when something happens, we find this huge shout out to The Shining, and The Shining is a huge influence, actually, to Jordan Peele himself. So I don't know if that's something that Jordan Peele added in, and or if that was something that the actual director Owen added in. But it was a great shot. I loved it. And it actually makes me want to go through with a fine-tooth pen, fine-tooth comb, and find everything, all the Easter eggs. And moving forward, I'm going to do the same. Now, as for the influence of the show as a whole, clearly it has influenced many TV shows, many movies, and to some degree directly and some indirectly as well. And I gotta say, this is the perfect time and the perfect person to bring this to us, because, Jordan Peele is someone who makes you question the way society is now today. Everything from politics to racial inconsistencies and racial issues, gun violence and profiling and things like that. And these are things that definitely Rod Serling was way ahead of his time trying to get us to do and realize in an indirect manner through his storytelling originally. So again, this is the perfect person to bring it to us. I think this is the right time. I think that this show might be worth the all access digital pass, if you will. Go ahead, get it, check it out. At least watch the first 2 episodes before you make that decision, I guess. But I know my family, we're definitely going to be getting it, and we're definitely going to be enjoying Twilight Zone, hopefully for years to come, guys. So that's my 2 cents. I think it was good. I give it a solid, 4 stars out of 5 for the first episode, just because even though there was a lot of things that you've seen coming and that you may classify maybe stereotypical, there was a lot to make you think on what you would do and how indirectly you were affecting things. Sure, you can get rid of a rapist, but, any good he may have ever done in his life, you erase as well. So, you never know what you're actually doing or what you're actually, changing in the world. And that's what made me think in the episode. So, guys, that's my take on it all. Let me know if you guys saw it. What did you guys think? Are you excited? Are you happy that it's Jordan Peele giving it to us? Guys, let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to smash the hell out of that like button, guys. Smash it like you mean it. Let us know what you guys think. Just if you have any ideas for future videos as well. Don't forget to like us on all our social medias, guys. And don't forget to click that notification bell to be part of the universe today, so you know every time we drop a video, and you can be part of the universe and join us in the conversation. As always, down below, I'm C-Dubs, and I'll see you in the universe. Peace.